Hi everybody, hope you're well. Happy Friday. Hope you've had a great week. Thanks for tuning in. If you got any questions or comments, drop them in the chat, and let's get started. Kind of been dealing the past month or so with triads. We had our C major triad, C E G, and our C minor triad, E flat G. Today I wanted to explore adding another tone to this triad. Typically, a seventh is what is added next, and by a seventh I mean this is our 1, this is our 3, this is our 5, this is our 6, and that's our 7th right there. It's just a scale degree. So in the case of C major, it's going to be a B. So we've got C, E, G, B. Hear how that has a different sound than just a C major triad? You can hear that note on top. So it's just another flavor that we can add and integrate into our music to make our music more expressive of us and how we're feeling. So I wanted to talk a little bit today about maybe how to make some cool voicings with it. So we got C, E, G, B, and part of the reason I like this chord so much is that it is made up of two perfect fifths, those being C to G and E to B. And I love perfect fifths. They're incredibly consonant. They're consonant just a little bit less than an octave, but they add a lot of flavor that an octave does not add. So I think it's a great interval. It's an interval I really like. So the fact that this chord has two of those intervals, I really like that. So my thinking is, okay, let me utilize those two perfect fifths and let me make those stand out, right? So we do that by voicing this chord instead of just C, E, G, B. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the C and the G down an octave, right? Nice kind of bass sound, and then I'm going to put the E and the B above that. I love that sound. And hear how that sounds differently than if we played it all in one octave, right? This is cool, it's nice. This is another sound. And having it open, having the chord open like that, having it take up more than one octave, in this case it takes up 2 octaves, that highlights the fact that these two perfect fifths exist within this chord. You could also do something that's kind of nice and turn those perfect fifths into perfect fourths. And remember, we do that just by, if we have a C and a G, let's drop our G down an octave. So now we have G and a C, right? And so upstairs, instead of E and a B, we now have a B and an E. So let's hear how this sounds. Oh man, I love that sound. I love that sound. So there's perfect fourths. There's perfect fifths. And there's closed position. And just for reference, here's closed position down an octave. One more time. Up an octave. And now let's play those fifths again. Open. C, G, E, B. And now let's turn them into fourths. G, C, B, E. Let's bring that chord up an octave. See how it sounds. Sounds good. My touch on the piano is not what I wish it was, so apologies for that. But still a very pleasing sound to my ears. Now what would happen, since we got these two perfect fifths, what would happen if we play the E and the B in the bass, and we play the C and the G in the treble? Let's check it out. Yeah, I'll do it like this. E and B, and then what did I say? C and G. It's a little bit more dissonant. Let's bring it up an octave. That's a very nice sound, like a mysterious sound. Definitely not as consonant as that, correct? It's cool. It's got its own place. But what happens is in our ears, we are struggling to constantly make sense of the sound that we hear. And the perfect fifth being such a consonant interval, we automatically will associate that with the key or the tonal center. So when we've got this C and the G perfect fifth, our ears tell us that this C is the root note. And this gets back into the combination tones that I was talking about, because their combination tone is this note. It's that super low C right there. Our ears psychoacoustically inform us that when we have a perfect fifth, the lower note is the root or the tonic. So when we start playing around with this C major 7 chord, and we put our E in the bass, and then we've got the B above that, our ears are being told, here's a perfect fifth. This E is going to be the root of the chord, because their first combination tone is this low E. Even if it's theoretically not how we're perceiving it in our brains, that's how our ears are perceiving it, and that's what they're telling us. So even though we've got E, B, and then C, G, or you know what, I'm going to make this G, C just so it's closer in range. E, B, G, C, right? That sounds way different than if we play G, C, E, B, or, and I hope I'm explaining this. I hope you all are understanding this, because that E and the B forming a perfect fifth is telling our ears that the E is the root tone of this chord. That's why, even though all the chord tones are the same, they're just arranged differently. That's why our ears are hearing this as an E, some sort of E minor chord, because it's got an E, a B, a G. So that's an E minor chord right there. And then it's got this C in there, which is kind of like a flat 6. But our ears are saying, no, this is definitely an E chord. It's not a C chord, it's an E chord. And that's because of that fifth there. I hope I'm not hammering that point excessively, but I just think it's such a cool way that explains how our ears hear that I don't hear other people talking about. I read about it in the Hindemith book, in the Paul Hindemith book, and it explained a lot to me, because I have a hard time. Or when I was learning to hear inversions, sometimes I would get a little bit confused, and I didn't understand why. But knowing that our ears are going to search for the lowest tone and in the most consonant interval, that really helped me out. What's the most consonant interval in the lowest tones? And then that is going to be how our ears determine what's the chord pitch, or what's the chord root, rather. So even though we've got E, B, G, C, and it sounds a very specific way, it's a very specific sound from G, C, E, B. Same tones, just rearranged differently. So if we are wanting to keep this true C C major 7 sound, then we need to either keep that C in the bass or we need to keep that G in the bass. If we put the B in the bass, it's going to be even more further away from the C major sound that we're used to. That, for example. Right? So yeah, C or G in the bass, and then put your E or B up top. And like I said before, I love perfect fifths, so I love highlighting that. I love perfect fourths, so I love highlighting that. Just sounds really, really nice to me. And the last thing I wanted to mention is that you can even double up some tones here, right? That was something that we didn't really address with the triads, but start doubling up your tones and it will really give your chord a nice extra layer. So right now, if I've got G, C, B, E, throw another B on top. It just, it sounds fantastic to me. Versus G, C, B, E, which also sounds good, but this extra B up top for support, I just really like how that sounds. Similarly, you could say G, C, G, B, E. Get that nice little G filling in there kind of sneakily. Right? It's cool. It's a different sound. It's subtle, but it's different than this. It's fuller. There's an extra note in there. So I hope that makes sense. As always, reach out if it doesn't. If anybody's interested, I offer lessons. I offer 100% money back guarantee. You got nothing to lose. Just contact me here through my website, and keep joining me every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. I see Maria's here. It's good to see you, Maria. I hope you've had a great week and are doing well. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I didn't say anything, but I guess coming up on almost a month ago, I think, was the 1-year anniversary of me doing these live streams. So I wanted to say that I'm happy to do them, and I hope that the audience is happy to see them. And I'll continue to do them for the foreseeable future. So I hope to see you all at the next one, and have a fantastic week, and be nice to everybody. All right. Bye-bye.